All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. We are rebuilding Babel. This time it's AI. Let's get into it.
We are building something that God has disrupted before. In Genesis 11, humanity built a tower to reach the heavens, to secure power and unity on their own terms, and God blew up their plans. Today, we are building a new tower with the same ambition, only this time it's made of artificial intelligence. And the people making it are saying they don't understand how it works or how to fully control it. We may be repeating one of the oldest rebellions in human history, and most people don't even see it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Wise Disciple. My name is Nate, and I'm very glad that you are with me. Okay, Matt Schumer is one of the leading voices in AI development, and he just dropped something big. He said something big is happening. This is just a few days ago on X, all right? He says the ground is shaking, okay, but why? Here's the thing. This is what he says. Nobody outside of tech quite understands yet. The reason so many people in the industry are sounding the alarm right now about AI is because this already happened to us. We're not making predictions. We're telling you what already occurred in our own jobs and warning you that you're next. But what is going on? What has got him so riled? Look at this. There's an organization called Meter that actually measures this with data, and they track the length of real-world tasks that a model can complete successfully without human help. About a year ago, the answer was roughly 10 minutes. Then it was an hour, then several hours. The most recent measurement showed that AI completes tasks that take a human expert nearly 5 hours faster. And that number is doubling approximately every 7 months, with recent data suggesting that it may be accelerating to as fast as every 4 months. All right? He goes on to talk about things like disruption and recursive capability in this article. In other words, AI is about to disrupt a lot of jobs in a new industrial revolution. And at the same time, it's already creating itself now. Now, this matters, friends. So for like thousands of years, think about this. Human progress moved at a human pace, right? We built tools, and those tools helped us build better tools, but there was always a bottleneck, and it was us. It was human limitation, human speed, human understanding, okay? No matter how advanced the tool was, it still depended on human cognition to move it forward. Now, maybe that bottleneck was not there by accident. Maybe it was protective, but now that bottleneck is disappearing. Recently, OpenAI described one of their systems being instrumental in creating itself. Look at that.
Hey, the scriptures say that knowledge would increase, all right? Daniel's 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. This is where we at, all right? The end of the age, the end of the world. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Okay?
This is from the same article. GPT 5.3 Codex is our first model that was instrumental in creating itself. The Codex team used early versions to debug its own training, manage its own deployment, and diagnose test results and evaluations. Read that again. AI helped build itself. Now, to be clear, humans are still overseeing this process, but the system is now actively participating in building its own successor. That's not science fiction. That's a press release. Think about where this goes, friends. Humans build a system. That system helps build the next one, and the cycle accelerates. That's compounding capability. That's exponential growth, and we are at the steep part of that curve right now.
Yep, knowledge shall increase. These are the last days, man. All right, and this AI is just nothing but a left-hand entity. Okay?
But what does that mean? We have created something that is now actively creating itself, and we still don't even know what it means. Most people are still debating the ethics of all of this. Now, does that mean AI is evil? No, not inherently, but it is powerful. And that's the problem. Listen to me now. Power without moral formation is dangerous, all right? Power without wisdom is actually a recipe for disaster. But hold on a second, because this is biblical. Power without submission to God is rebellion waiting to scale. And even secular people know this. People who have no theological framework whatsoever, they're starting to realize the potential problem here. Okay? Jeffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of modern AI, he left Google to sound the alarm on all of this. It says Hinton is worried that AI technologies will in time upend the job market. Now, down the road, he is worried that future versions of the technology pose a threat to humanity because they often learn unexpected behavior from the vast amounts of data they analyze. This becomes an issue, he said, as individuals and companies allow systems, AI systems, not only to generate their own computer code, but actually run that code on their own. And he fears a day when truly autonomous weapons, those killer robots, become reality.
Yeah, real quick, because I had brought this out before. So let me get it real fast right here. This video here came out 10 months ago. I am AI, Quantum, Stargate, Pyramids, Obelisk, 369, USA, Babel, Nimrod, Arion, Mount Hermon. All right, check this out.
And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, there are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
See, this is a top level, Google engineer or whatnot. He's telling you that they're dealing with entities that don't have their interests at heart. All right, they're tapping into some high level sorcery, man. All right, they're dealing with them spirits on the left hand side. Okay.
And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, there are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
Man, you see? Straight out the movies, man. Terminator 2. Okay, this AI is about to be the end of this man's world.
The idea that this stuff could get smarter than people. A few people believe that, but most people thought it was way off. I thought it was way off, right? I no longer think that. That's what he's saying. Many other experts, include many of his students, say this threat is hypothetical, but Dr. Hinton believes that the race between Google and Microsoft and others will escalate into a global race that will not stop without some sort of global regulation. Now, here's what I want you to see. Watch this. He says, the best hope is for the world's leading scientists to collaborate on ways to control AI technology. He says, I don't think they should scale this up more until they have understood whether they can control it. Think about what he just said. These are the people building these systems, and they're telling us they don't fully understand how these systems reason internally. They're also saying that once AI surpasses us, containment becomes a much harder problem. All right. Stuart Russell is a computer scientist at UC Berkeley, and he co-wrote one of the textbooks that defines how AI is taught at the university. Watch what he says here.
If you put an objective into a machine, even something as simple as fetch the coffee, the machine says to itself, well, how might I fail to fetch the coffee? Someone might switch me off. Okay, I have to take steps to prevent that. I will disable my off switch. I will do anything to defend myself against interference with this objective that I've been given. So this single-minded pursuit in a very defensive mode of an objective that is in fact not aligned with the true objectives of the human race, that's the problem that we face. And in fact, that's the high-value takeaway from this talk. If you want to remember one thing, it's that you can't fetch the coffee if you're dead.
This is the same theme over and over again. We do not ultimately know how these systems actually make decisions, and we can't really control them either. Now, to be clear, Russell is not claiming that today's systems are running wild. He's warning that our current design methods do not guarantee control once these systems exceed our own cognitive abilities. And I think Schumer just showed us that that day is already here. Okay. By the way, I'm going to leave the links for all these articles and videos, and you should look at them in their entirety for your reference. Okay. Now think about this. These systems are becoming embedded in everything. Your job application is filtered by AI. Your loan approval decided by AI. Your feed ranked by AI. Your kid's education, curated by AI. This isn't theoretical. It's already happening. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This happened before in the Bible. In Genesis 11, mankind did the exact same thing that we're doing today, only back then they were building a tower. Look at this. Genesis 11:1. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, behold, they are one people, and they have all one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do.
So let's go to Genesis chapter 11. I believe he's at verse 4. Genesis 11:4, and it reads, it says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. Verse 6, the point. And the Lord Yahweh Shemel Washai said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. All right, so this was basically like the New World Order back then. Okay, the merging of the heathen nations' idols, all of the people becoming one. And it's the same thing that we see today, all right, dealing with these technocrats, all right, as I go through the modern parallels, all right. This is from the Chat GPT. I have put in the history behind the Tower of Babel. What were they trying to achieve? Parallel this to what these technocrats and warlocks are doing now, right? Just going to the point down here. All right, parallels to modern systems. Today we see, number one, global centralization, global governance frameworks, central banking systems, digital identity systems, AI surveillance structures. These echo Babel's theme: one language, one system, one centralized power structure, right? And this is what they're talking about now, all right? The same, rebellion that was going on back then, right? Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All right, the same spirit, the same, type of rebellion. Okay, them trying to glorify human achievement over the Most High. All of this stuff, man, as we're gonna read. Okay, the same theme of the Tower of Babel as we see today, right? One language, one system, one centralized power structure. Let us make a name. Number two, modern culture glorifies human achievement as salvation. Transhumanism merging man and machine. Tech elites presented themselves as humanity's future guides, you see? Because what are they talking about now? They're saying that they're gods. All right? They're saying that they're over the Most High. Okay? It says, compare this to the narratives around figures like Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, who speak about reshaping humanity through technology, often called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The theme mirrors Babel: humanity united, technologically empowered, redefining its own destiny, right? The same spirit. Let's go back.
And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. If you want a greater breakdown of this story and what it means, you got to go check out my most recent video on Babel, okay? The link for that is in the description. But let me just give you the gist right now. Babel was not about ambition. It was about rebellion. These people in Genesis 11 were saying, we will control our own destiny. And that put them on a collision course with the destiny that God had already laid out for mankind back in Genesis chapter 1. Okay, remember, Genesis 1:28, God told them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, which means what? Scatter, spread out, right? But the folks at Babel rejected God, and instead they came together. They traveled to come together. And they unified around their own autonomous choice. They unified their language, they centralized themselves, and they said, let us make a name for ourselves. That's about claiming divine authority, ladies and gentlemen. In other words, they wanted to have the ability to bring the gods down to their level.
Imagine being able to build.
Let's let this pass.
Happens next. Genesis 11:6, God comes down and he disrupts their plans and scatters them. Why? Because God knows something. He knows that unchecked human autonomy at scale does not lead to utopia. It leads to tyranny. It leads to oppression. And it leads to collapse. Now think about that for a moment. Does that mean that technology is bad? No. It means technology, listen, amplifies our sin. As I said at the outset, we're doing precisely what God disrupted before. You know? Now, wait a second. Do you think that he's indifferent to what's going on in the world right now?
Right. Because the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, is going to tear it all down again. You know? Let's read some more. Okay. Number 3, attempting to reach heaven through technology. Instead of a brick tower, artificial intelligence, space colonization, genetic modification, neural interfaces. All right. It could resemble a modern attempt to transcend natural limits, becoming like God's Genesis 3 language. Spiritual perspective. Biblically, Babel represents pride, collective rebellion, unity without righteousness, man replacing God with systems. Revelation later describes another global system symbolized as Babylon the Great, which is America, a centralized world power opposed to the Most High. All right, because this whole system is centered on rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, many theologians see a pattern: Babel, Imperial Babylon, Rome, future global system. All right, real quick. Okay, as we were just talking about, man, the Most High is about to, bring this man's empire system down. All right, this is Job 21, and this is Job 21. No, Job 20. Salakia. All right, the fullness of his sufficiency. All right, Job 20 and 22. Job 20 and 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Right. So where are we at now? We're at the fullness of his sufficiency. All right. We're at the height of his pride, man. They think that they're going to achieve this NWO. They're going to rule the world underneath AI and chipping up the planet. All right. This beast system. This is where we're at. His sufficiency. All right. The height of his enterprise. Job 5 and was it 5 and 12? Right. Job chapter 5 verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. You see that? So this modern day Tower of Babel, which is this AI and the chip and this beast system and all of that. These are the devices of the crafty. Right. So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You see that? So the Most High, just like he did into the ancient Tower of Babel, all right, this new Babel, he's going to destroy it. All right, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to destroy. He's going to destroy Esau and this AI, man. All right, and he's allowing the AI. He's allowing this AI to, to surpass human intelligence. To bring this man's system down. It's all part of the Lord's movie, right? The Lord said that He created the wicked, all right, for the day of evil, right? Proverbs 16 and 4. And it reads, it says, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, have made all things for himself. You see that? Even this AI, this left hand. The Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, have made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil, right? So the Most High is in control of these entities that we just heard about, right? Going back to the the Google engineer, right? These are those spirits that were created for vengeance, man. The Most High is in control of the both the right hand and the left hand side, man. All right. Let's get some more out of this read here. Core parallel. Okay. It says Babel, one language, modern parallel, global digital networks, one centralized city, global institutions, make a name, technocratic elite branding, reach heaven, transhumanism, AI, space, God scattered, future prophetic judgment. All right. The Most High is about to take this man down. Okay. He's at the height of his pride. Okay. Again, Sirach, let's pull that up before we wrap this up. Okay. Sirach, the 10th chapter. And this is Sirach 10 and 13. It says, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abomination. All right, look what Esau's doing. Look at the things that he's pouring out all over the earth. Okay? For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. All right. And part of those strange calamities, the Lord is going to use this AI to overthrow Esau, man. Verse 14. The Lord, Yahweh Shemel Washai, cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead. You see that? Esau's going down. Okay. He's not going to relish in his sufficiency. Okay. It says, the Lord hath plucked up the roots of proud nations and planted the lowly in their place. The Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, overthrew countries of the heathen and destroyed them to the foundations of the earth. He took some of them away and destroyed them and have made their memorial to cease from the earth. And that's what's going to happen to Esau, man. All right. The Lord's going to cause his remembrance to perish from the earth, man. Okay, this is it for him, man. We're at the height, man. The climax of the movie. Okay, right before the the hero returns to save the day, so to speak. This is where we at. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the point there. Let's play a little bit more and we'll wrap it up.
If he wasn't back then, do you think he is today? We have to remember, the original human beings that built the tower created that structure to bring the gods down to them. That's what the steps on a ziggurat are actually for. All right? In the ancient Near East, a ziggurat was a cosmic staircase, and it was human beings saying, the gods are up there, and we're down here, so let's build a bridge. Let's create a meeting place, and let's force the divine to descend to us on our terms. That background helps us to understand the symbolic meaning in Genesis chapter 11. That's the audacity of Babel, friends. These people were building a system to access divine power without divine submission.
There you go. And like we said, these technocrats, the modern day Chaldeans, all right, these are the witches and warlocks and sorcerers of this time. Okay, the AI that they're tapping into. All right, these different left-hand energies. Okay, because what are they doing? They're trying to make themselves God. As he was saying, they're trying to bring the gods down to their level. All right, the AI, space colonization. All right, he's you got the thing called CRISPR. Right, let me pull that up. CRISPR technology. This man is splicing genes. All right. Creating GMO humans. He's creating new animals. All right. This is all part of that. This is him attempting to be like the Most High. All right. He's altering the Lord's creation, man. All right. I've done a few lessons going into this topic, man. But this is it. Right here.
But wait a second. If we build an omniscient AI system that is functionally similar to Babel, right? A tower that reaches toward capabilities that we literally call superhuman. Here's the question. What God is going to come down those steps? Is anyone even thinking about this? See, the Bible tells us that the ancient pagans used to worship gods, but the gods that they worshiped were actually demons. Look at this. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. Paul says, no, I imply that what pagans sacrifice, they offer to demons and not to God. I do not want you to be participants with demons. All right? You see what I mean? When ancient peoples worshipped what they called Baal, Molech, Asherah, right? They thought they were worshiping gods, but they were actually engaging with demonic powers, real spiritual entities, fallen beings presenting themselves as divine. That's what idolatry was in the ancient world.
Do not get a consolidation
Let's let that pass.
loan.
You know? This is the end of the world, man. High level witchcraft in these last days, man. All right? And that's what these devils are tapping into. All right, that's that Isaiah. Just thinking out loud. All right, Isaiah 47. You know? Isaiah 47 and 9. And it reads, it says, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children and widowhood, they should come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. You see that? All of that, the AI, everything, man. You know, these spirits that they're dealing with, you know.
It's when we build our own altar, ourselves as divine. That's what idolatry was in the ancient world. But what happens when we build our own altar? Our own technological ziggurat? What will we worship with our new tower? Will it not be ourselves? Will it not be a magnified projection of ourselves? Do you understand? We are in some strange, weird new territory. Think about that. AI is trained on human data, reflecting human biases, you know, optimized for human engagement, but also amplifying human desires and also our flaws. We are creating something in our own image, and then we're going to turn around and treat it like it's a god. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because this is what Paul was saying before in Romans chapter 1. Watch this. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Images resembling mortal man. You see, the problem with doing something like this is really simple, ladies and gentlemen. If AI is in our image, it will carry our fallenness with it. Our pride, think about that. Our tribalism, our appetite for control, our refusal to depend on God. AI will not transcend our own human nature. It's going to scale it.
Yeah, pride goeth before destruction. All right? And you can watch the rest of that. You know, that's pretty much the point, man. All right? But yeah, the parallels are there. All right? Same spirit of rebellion, the same type of mindset of so-called transcending above the Most High and, you know, rewriting man in his own image. You know, all of this madness. This is why this is at the time of the Edomite is up, man. All right? Yahweh Shem Yahushai is coming to remove this man out of the way. You know? So I pray this quick lesson was edifying, and shalom to the next one. Shalom.